It's over. The decision's made. The battle won or lost. I wonder how I did. How did I handle that conflict? I think I could have done better, but I don't know how. Those are questions that we're going to tackle in this video. Stay tuned to learn more about what healthy conflict is all about and the behaviors you can implement over time with practice to grow in confidence in this critical life skill. Welcome to Tug of War Tuesday, when we tackle the tensions and unsolvable problems in life. These videos will equip you to think differently, make better decisions, and resolve conflicts. Let's begin at the beginning. What did you learn about conflict? And who told you, who taught you about how it works? For most of us, the significant role models were our parents, our teachers, and, well, other caregivers. Chances are they did the best they could to resolve differences among themselves or between you and your siblings or friends and classmates. Over time, you formed a mindset about what disagreement means, what it feels like, and what you're supposed to do when you're in conflict. Patrick Lencioni is the author of The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team. He created a continuum to show the range of conflict from what he calls artificial harmony to mean-spirited personal attacks. He suggests that the ideal place is to be close to the middle, just to the left of the dividing line. This is the point when people are having every bit of constructive conversation possible without stepping over the line into destructive territory. What do you think about this? If you had to place yourself somewhere on this line to show the way you tend to handle conflicts or where you land, where would it be? Regardless of the outcomes of our conflicts, is your approach to the left, to the right, or in the middle? Now, of course, we all step over the line occasionally, and often that shows how passionately we feel about the issue. Couples have big arguments and recover. Teams have blow-ups and move on. I like this continuum as a tool to target a general direction for personal development. When you think about where you are on this continuum, will you do anything to keep the peace, to not offend, to keep the noise down? Do you find yourself repeating the same powerful arguments over and over, convinced you're right, and eventually you wear down the opposition? What's the continuum look like in your family? You know, it would be an interesting and maybe a fun activity to do is to plot yourself, your spouse, and your kids. That simple activity can open up an important conversation if you add these 2 questions. What's one thing I can do to move us forward in conflict? And what's one thing I can stop doing or decreasing in conflict? You know, I have to tell you that one of the most challenging life skills for me is when I engage in conflict. I have the same good intentions that you do. I want the best solutions, good answers. I want to handle myself as a mature woman, to be responsible, to be kind and fair. And, you know, I believe almost all the time the person at the other end of the conflict wants the same thing. I've read lots of books about conflict and I've watched quite a few videos, and it's still challenging. Stepping back and looking at where I am on that continuum has been really helpful to me. I realized that early in my life, I learned, for lots of different reasons, that it was important to lay low and stay quiet in conflict. That my responsibility was to make sure that the other person was happy, because I didn't want it to escalate into loud voices and me being made wrong. But when I entered the work world and I became a leader, that didn't work very well. I needed to stick up for my team, stick up for the customer. And that meant sometimes engaging in difficult conversations. Even with my husband, it's important that we're able to talk honestly about things and iron things out. Knowing now that I'm vulnerable to wanting to just step back and give in actually had the opposite effect through a lot of my life. I came on too strong. I was on the defensive. I was the one to attack. And it's one of the reasons why I tend to talk over people and interrupt to maintain control. Wherever you are on that continuum, someone who probably comes on too strong initially, like me, or someone when the voices get loud and the pressure raises, you tend to shut down, swirl in confusion, or maybe the tears start to flow. Know that this is something you can do better. It takes time, it takes practice, and it takes a focus on what's one thing that I want to do better. For me, right now, I'm working on the one thing, which is to stop interrupting and talking over people. Regardless of my intention, it's rude and it doesn't allow the other person to express themselves. That's what I'm working on. What about you? What's one thing that you'd like to change? Yeah, that's one. And there may be others, but that's okay. Because when we know just one thing that we're going to work on, then we can focus. We can look at the most recent conflicts that we've had. For me, it was a thing I had with my husband about running an errand, where I just plowed through and talked over him. And he's kind of the same way, so neither one of us was listening. But it doesn't matter what he's doing or whether he's trying to change. It matters what I'm doing, because I am the only person I can change. So as I wrap up this series about conflict, I want you to know this. Don't be hard on yourself. You've got good intentions. You're growing and learning. You're in the process of your life. But that doesn't mean that you can't pause and honestly reflect about how being better in conflict can make a difference in your life and in your relationships, and then choose one thing. Maybe it's to make one of those statements that I've covered in previous videos, or to get better at asking one of those questions, to taking a break when you're feeling overwhelmed, or even preparing some specific statements that you're going to make in the conflict. Whatever it is, some movement is movement and it's progress. And I want you to know I'm behind you 100%. I've put links to other videos in this series in the description below. And I'll be covering more topics to help you build the mindset, skills, and habits that lead to a good life. If this video has been helpful, I hope that you'll share it with someone that you care about and that you'll subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching. I'm your mentor, Jane.